We're live. Yeah. You could tell.
They didn't miss one of them. Not one. Well, it's true too. No matter how hard the wind blows,
I never
it's always quiet.
I never get headlights either. Starve me to death.
Okay, we're going to call to order the special meeting for August 4th, 2022, 6 p.m. We're going to take roll call.
Here.
Tim Van Hookey,
Here.
Shane Walker,
Here.
Matthew Wells,
Here.
Katie Harrington.
Here. It's flex loop.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let's pray. O Lord our God in heaven, Father, we come before you today and we thank you for this day that you've given us, the opportunity that we have to assemble here to conduct the business of our city. As we do so, Father, we ask that you place your providential hand on our community and on this meeting, that we may always strive to keep your will in focus and work together in peace and unity and harmony. As we all do our separate jobs, Father, may we always do so with honor and integrity. Father, we ask that you place your blessed hand on our first responders, on our service members who are stationed and deployed abroad. And Father, may we always be mindful of your love for us, that while we were still yet enemies and sinners against you, that you saw fit from before the beginning of time as we understand it, to send forth your Son from heaven, to serve as a sacrificial lamb, to be crucified by your very own creation, so that all of us who would believe and confess his name would have the hope of eternity in heaven with you. It's in your Son's name that we pray these things. Amen.
Amen.
First item of business would be the consent agenda. There was one change for that consent agenda. The total amount for the approval of the ordinance 1317 totaling $200,255.04. Motion.
Jason, had you had a chance? I know you were going to go over there and look at the project, 17th and Eddy.
Yes, I went ahead and verified progress, and they're tracking with what they requested on their pay request, and they're moving forward.
All right, thank you, sir. I'll motion that we approve the consent agenda.
I'll second it.
Josh Jones,
Yes.
Tim Van Hookey,
Yes.
Shane Walker,
Yes.
Matthew Wells,
Yes.
Katie Harrington.
Yes. Public comment, Michael Hoyt. Reminder that it is 5 minutes, sir.
Thank you and good evening. First, I have two items for you this evening. First, I want to comment on the budget work session and commend Kelly for providing me with the documents. And it would have been nice to have had them on Tuesday night, but afterwards with the the wonders of technology, I could replay the work session and go right through it, and I will have several comments when it comes time for the public comment period. Second item I want to bring to your attention is, and Bob, I'm going to get out ahead of you here and recommend that you all do not comment to me on what I'm about to say because you have a liability. But it is specifically, Commissioner Wells, what the CFO of Bourbon County told you Tuesday night was a lie, an absolute lie. And I have for you the petition. The petition had a valid question that said, we, the undersigned, are concerned citizens who urge our leaders to rescind the adopted resolution per notice of intent published in the newspaper. We ask that you rescind the purchase of 100-foot tower truck, I'm abbreviating here, to get within my 5 minutes, and that you give the opportunity of Fort Scott patrons to vote on the above stated expenditures. There were 525 signatures on this petition, and we never were allowed to vote. Voter suppression? I don't know, but we're going to litigate that. Had nothing to do with a go bond or any other financing, because we didn't know what they were going to purchase that fire truck with until they took delivery of it, right? We didn't know what we should have done with that grant money was pay off the pumper truck and have less debt and not bought the ladder, the tower truck, or at least allowed us to vote. That's what this petition is all about. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. Next, consideration of the demolition of 722 South Heilman Street. We need a progress report.
Madam Mayor, Commissioners, I have 2 sets of the same photos, one for each set of the table.
I think that means we gotta share. Oh, Katie doesn't get one.
She can share this one.
I've seen it. You can, yeah. Spare another.
So this property has been before you at least twice before, and the property owner was given time to make progress in the cleanup of the property. I will confess that those photos were taken just before Tuesday's commission meeting, and so just to be transparent, I drove by there on my way here tonight at 11:45. It appears today, at this point in time, is reflected in the photos that have been provided to you. So, based on the fact that Mr. Dern has made clearly no effort to do any of the things that the Coast Department has asked him to do, we would therefore ask you to send this out for bid for demolition.
It's already been sent out for bid,
Okay?
so bids were taken June the 30th. The low bid was Dave's Demolition in the amount of $1,800. There were 4 bids received, which you would have had at your first meeting in July.
Do you have the minutes from the last meeting we discussed this? What was the commission's comments at the time?
I was absent from that meeting, but my understanding is that Mr. Dern was given more time.
I was trying to figure out what the, just want to make sure.
Look real fast. It was tabled at the July 19th meeting. Mr. Russell stated the owners have begun to demolish a part of the structure. Mr. Russell confirmed that the owners of the property have not made progress and not obtained the demolition permit. Tim Van Hookey motioned to table the demolition until the next meeting. Matthew Wells seconded.
Okay.
We've got the bids in. Have we awarded the bid?
We have not,
Okay.
because he came here and asked to self-demolish it, so.
Yep. I would make a motion at this point to accept the low bid of $1,800 from Dave's Demolition for 722 South Holman Street. Second.
Was that you, Josh, the second?
Yes.
Thank you. Shane Walker,
Yes.
Matthew Wells,
Yes.
Tim Van Hookey,
Yes.
Josh Jones.
Yes.
Katie Harrington.
Yes.
No,
Yes.
that was the only item I saw for you on here, the agenda, but I did, if it's all right with the mayor and Kelly, I did have a couple of other quick questions. One was, I know we've put some extensions out on some of these homes. Can we go back and look at what those dates are to make sure that some of those aren't passing? Also, at the same time, if you look at it, I'd like to make sure that if someone is making improvements, that they're getting the credit for it and we're aware of it. If they might need a little more time or whatever, but if
Now,
you could do that.
my age is starting to show, but if memory serves me right, the only property that we have left to address was the property at 220 South Judson, which I know Thomas has been keeping a close eye on. I actually went and checked on it earlier this week. I'm kind of discouraged to tell you that it looks worse today than it did 90 days ago.
Okay,
And
but
I
I mean, do we
believe
know
we're
how much
beyond-
time they have left?
I believe we're past his extension. I'd have to double check Miss Diane's
I
notes.
want to say it was August 8th. The resolution was for August 8th.
That's what I was thinking as well, but that's not actually until Monday.
The resolution, yes, so you couldn't do
Yep,
anything
okay.
until then. We could have it on the next agenda.
If we could, please.
Mhm.
But you're pretty sure that was the only one that was still left? Okay.
So one left.
Yeah, because, Mr. Commissioner, the other properties that were given extensions, I digress, with the exception of the property at 6th and Short, 639 Short, I think is the address there. The other properties, such as the one on West 4th,
I think it was 623 Short.
yes, you're correct, 623 Short. That would be the only one left. I believe they were given an opportunity to self-demo, but I've not seen any activity over there. I'm happy to give you a report at the next meeting if you like.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for indulging me.
That was awarded at the last meeting. 623 Short.
That's what I thought.
Hang on.
We took a lowest bid, didn't we?
Well, I
Yes.
thought they had made the decision that they were
Approved
going
to accept the
to.
bid from Dave's
Yep.
Demolition for 623 Short,
Yep.
so, yeah.
Has that happened yet, or do we
What's
know?
that? I don't think
Have-
they haven't started it yet.
That's all I have for you at the moment until we get down to the new business with the zoning change matters that we'll bring before you. Any other questions I can answer?
Nope, thank
Right.
you.
Thank you,
Bill.
Appearances, Patty LaRoche.
Thank you. I come here as a delegate for the Lake Advisory Committee. And I want to start by just bringing up a motion that was passed last year, August 3rd, 2021. And it dealt with the deed restrictions for lake property for sale. It says Nancy Van Etten, chairperson, said that the Lake Advisory Committee has recommended 2 deed restrictions only. Those are, it must be a single-family dwelling and a homestick built house. Lindsay Watts moved to approve the 2 deed restrictions for building at Lake Fort Scott. Josh Jones seconded. Kevin Allen, Pete Allen, Lindsay Watts, and Josh Jones said aye. Randy Nichols voted no. Motion carried 4-1. Approved the 2 deed restrictions for building at Lake Fort Scott. And as we all know, that didn't happen. It happened on one of the lots, but for the 4 lots that the city sold, only one of those has been mandated to use these terms to have stick-built and single-family dwelling. And so the Lake Advisory Board has met and are trying to come up with a plan to help you as city commissioners assure that this doesn't happen again. That somehow when there is a motion passed, it is legal and binding, and people should not be allowed to do as they choose, or the deed is not written properly so that they can do as they choose. So The city, for this meeting, the following are recommendations from the July 9th Lake Advisory Board meeting. And I'm going to hand these out so that each of you will have a copy. So if you want to follow along, this is what the Lake Advisory Board is recommending. And as you know, we consider Lake Fort Scott a true gem for this area. And it is our hope that the City Commission will see it the same as we do and protect that commodity. So the following are recommendations from the Lake Advisory Board meeting, which approved a motion to recommend to the City Commission a guideline to the future sales of city-owned property at the lake, which includes the following policies and procedures. Number one, there would be smart growth coordination. That would be with the Lake Advisory Board to determine which lots are to be sold. We do understand that right now you are considering selling some of the other lake lots. Number two, deed restrictions such that A, any lots sold by the City of Fort Scott are to be used solely for single-family residential use, whether year-round or seasonal, as are related garages or outbuildings. All commercial, industrial, retail, and multifamily housing uses are prohibited. The property may also not be subdivided in any way without the express approval of the City of Fort Scott City Commission. These restrictions will be deemed a covenant which runs with the property and finding on purchaser and successors or assigns of the purchaser. B, these must be stick-framed homes. Number three, there will be an accurate survey of the lots. Number four, there will be a market analysis and timing recommendations. Number five, there will be a sales structure, which of course deals with how the lake lots will be sold, auction, listing, etc. Number six, it will deal with the listing, sale, and title document preparation. Number seven, a document review by the city attorney. Number eight, document acceptance by the city attorney and the buying parties, including the realtors, etc. Number nine, a sale review by the city commission. Number 10, sale acceptance by the seller and buyer. The Lake Advisory Board understands it is important to be aware that the Lake Fort Scott is the emergency water supply for the city of Fort Scott. That is critical. We also understand that the city has a responsibility to its water source to do the things that pertain to monitoring and ensuring that the water source is clean, which is accomplished with the bathymetric survey and the evaluation of water quality. Given the importance of those issues to the citizens of Fort Scott, and to ensure an adequate and safe water supply in case of drought, the Lake Advisory Board recommends the following to be funding in the next budget cycle. Recommend to the City Commission that the bathymetric survey, the water course, wetlands, and lake evaluation, and the water quality study should happen under the next budget cycle and be funded by any source other than the Lake Fund. It is our recommendation also that these studies be completed by surrounding universities as coursework, as they have been in the past. Are there any questions? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Patty. Madam Mayor, if I may, first of all, Jason, I had asked you a couple questions about the surveys and the accuracy of those surveys as far as finding the kingstones and everything. Had you been able to get that information?
As of yet, I haven't got the official answer on that.
Okay.
So we'll follow up again.
All right. Thank you. And then, Bob, as far as those deed restrictions that were put in place by the city commission, even though they were voted on according to what you told me in the email response, there's nothing at all that can be done, even though.
They can't be a covenant running with the land because the only way you can pay land is through the deed.
Okay.
And they weren't in the deed.
So even.
We talked that that's not gonna happen again.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And there was confluence. Sorry, I didn't turn this on. There was a confluence of things going on at that time. And the realtors were heavily involved in preparing the deeds. And even the mayor at the time admitted that he probably didn't look them over as carefully as he should have. But that is not gonna happen again.
Did you look them over?
I glanced at them. I got them the same time you did.
Well, I know you keep saying the mayor, but it's your job to look them over. So
I'm not suggesting that. I'm not
I
gonna
know.
argue with you.
I know, as you say, the mayor should have, I just didn't know why you threw it out there when you,
Well, he talked to me about it right here at this meeting.
I'm just
and
saying
he
the
said,
proper response might have been the mayor and I didn't look them over properly, so.
Whatever. I'm not gonna argue with you. Yes, I would agree, 100%.
Thank you, Bob.
I just wanted to make sure that we had exhausted every opportunity
We have.
legally on whether or not we can impose the deed restrictions that were listed as part of the sale and voted on by the city commission.
There isn't
Okay.
anything we can do. Sorry.
No, thank you, sir. I appreciate it.
Next on the agenda is Aaron Foxworth. Okay.
You have the street request closure in your packet that
Okay.
he filled out for his event he's holding.
Yeah, he's messaged me and then he's talked to Diane. She has sent the form, so he was gonna try to be here. He's just holding tacos and tailgates. He's done this before, I believe at Walmart, but it's overgrown, that area. And he saw during the good old days they had a car show down there and thought that'd be a good his benefits. It's a charity, goes all to the Kansas Honor Flight.
This is down at Riverfront Park.
Yep.
Do you know, is he
This-
planning
yeah,
on
yeah.
doing it in the same place at Riverfront Park that they did for Good Old Days?
Yes.
Back underneath the.
Yep. Yep, and I think his times are on there that he needs it. So I would make a motion to accept the application for temporary street closure.
So you know, cones and everything,
He has all that. he
Okay.
said, so.
that he doesn't need anything from us
Right.
otherwise.
I'll second that.
Matthew Wells,
Yes.
Josh Jones.
Yes.
Tim Van Hickey,
Yes.
William Walker,
Yes.
Katie Harrington.
Yes. Is this Labor Day weekend? September 3rd. Is that Labor Day weekend?
I think so, yeah.
Okay.
Yes, it is. Correct.
Okay. So it's gonna be busy. It's gonna be busy in that area. Next, Robert Harrington, visioning session for Bourbon County Ready.
Good evening. Thank you for allowing me to speak this evening. I appreciate it. I just want to read something here. Just came to mind while I was sitting here before to speak about this. But, you know, Proverbs 29 states, where there's no vision, the people perish. And I think that has a lot to be said in this community. And that's why I think the Bourbon County Ready Board has decided that we are going to host, facilitate, whatever word you want, a visioning session on August 23rd with every elected body, in the county. We feel that it's important that everyone attend. So we've requested the schools, both school districts, every incorporated city within Bourbon County, their commission attend, the college, HBCAT board, the Ready board, the chamber board, and the Good Neighbor Action Team board as well to attend this visioning session. So I'm here just to tell you about it. We hope that all of you can attend. This has never been done in Bourbon County before, where we've had all elected bodies together. And we feel it's very important that if we're going to grow this community, and when I say community, I mean the county, properly, that we need to come together with a laser focus, as Craig Campbell would say, and do the right thing all the time. So that's my invite to you personally. Do you have any questions for me?
Is there food?
Yes, yeah. I learned a long time ago, if you feed them, they will come. So we are offering a dinner. It will be Luther's. I know that for sure. I'm thinking probably brisket and pulled pork, and of course my favorite, macaroni and cheese. And then I'll let someone else choose the other side. But yeah, so it'll be at the River Room at 5:30. We will eat. I'm working with, I have an out-of-town facilitator that will run the meeting. And we'll start promptly, probably 5:50, giving everybody time to eat. I will say, just so everyone knows, that it's because all public, and I'm going to work with Bob on this, but because there's so many public boards that will attend, it is going to be open to anybody to sit back and watch us as we discuss. However, my budget only allows me so much money, so I am buying food for every elected official that attends that's been personally invited, but I cannot provide food for the entire community that shows up. So unless you guys want to pitch in, but I'm going to put that in your lap and you can chew on it. So with that being said, any other questions for me?
I will
Yes,
comment.
please.
Ernie Mosier's going to conduct this, right?
I wish he is, but it's actually Mr. Rob O'Brien that will be our facilitator.
Okay.
Yeah.
This
So-
year, he's learned from the best, because
Yeah.
Ernie was the best executive director the League of Kansas Municipalities has ever had.
Yeah, and Rob has been doing this for quite some time. Has some extensive training in what's called strategic doing. We don't just plan; we actually do. And so, it's going to be a good event. I think it's something that's probably been needed for quite some time, but we're going to go ahead and move forward with it. So again, thank you very much. I look forward to all of you attending. And like I said, the food will be good, so you should at least. I think I said at the meeting they'll start promptly around 5:50 probably. So yeah, Rob will probably start at 5:45 and just explain who he is and his background, but we'll probably start having a good discussion hopefully around 5:50, and it runs till 8:30 or until everybody leaves. No, just till 8:30. So thank you very much. I appreciate your time.
You might want to, out of an abundance of caution, since I assume some of you will go, is instruct Diane to post it as a working meeting with no action to be taken. That covers you with the press.
We'll do that.
And set at separate tables.
Well, yeah.
Well, we're hoping that you don't sit at separate tables until Rob tells you to move to separate tables where you will go to with people that aren't in your group, because we need to think outside our little arenas, and that's what this is about. Is we all need to get outside of maybe our sandbox and realize that the sandbox we all are playing in is Bourbon County, and together, if we grow, we will all succeed. And so that's kind of why we're having this first visioning session, and I plan on there being at least 3 before we have committees to where we'll break out and do their own thing. And then upon that time with the committees, we will reach out to the local citizens and ask them to join our committees so we can have some actual action and some accomplishments starting in 2023. So.
Thank you.
Thanks, Rob.
Next is new business consideration of the change in zoning from C2 commercial to C3 commercial for the property of 6 East 13th Street, and conditioning use permit to allow a small animal hospital.
Again, good evening, Madam Mayor and Commissioners. The property here is in question is 6 East 13th. It is currently zoned C2 commercial, and the new property owner, and I've been working with Jamie Armstrong, and I don't see Jamie here tonight, but
I'm the new property owner.
okay, do you want to come up?
Afterwards I can, but I just figured I would let you know. That's why she's not here, because I actually am able to be here.
Okay, so we have the vet, the doc is here. So she has purchased that property, and she's requested a change in zoning from C2 to C3 with a conditional use permit, which is what is required for that property to operate as the proposed business, which is small animal veterinary care. Now, when we presented this to the planning board, it was made very clear that there be no large animals are going to be treated at this location. She's going to have a mobile unit where she can go out and treat large animals off-site so that they won't be coming to the location of the business. There's also going to be some kennels built there, and the purpose of those kennels is strictly to dogs who are there for care have a place to go outside and stretch their legs and relieve themselves, and so that would be part of the conditional use. This matter was received a unanimous vote by the planning board, and we would respectfully request that you follow suit.
So that used to be the foot doctor's office, right?
Correct.
So it is a medical, and this is kind of a medical. They were actually zoned differently.
Yes.
Because I'd rather look at kitties and puppies than stinky, nasty feet myself. But I'm just saying, I was surprised that it was zoned differently since it was a medical facility before, and it's kind of a medical facility again.
Yeah, and so you look at our zoning chart for C2, C3, veterinary care falls under C3. And then the other, I guess, detail I would give to you is that the conditional use permit and the zoning change from C3 would revert back to its current status upon sale of the property.
All right, I'll make a motion.
What, if you don't mind, Josh, I'm sorry. I have 3 questions from the citizens who live in that area.
Okay.
Their first question was on the outside use of animals and the storage of animals outside. Are the kennels going to be outside where the animals will be staying outside overnight?
Yeah. My understanding is that this is temporary holding, not overnight or long-term holding, but I'll let the doc answer that question.
Absolutely. So it isn't so much that there will be kennels, especially initially. It'll be more of a, we're going to put up a fence so my staff or I can go walk the dogs outside and come back in.
So like a
They're
dog
not going to
run.
be outside for really any length of time. So the minimal barking should be very, very minimal.
Okay.
So
All right. And so there won't be, like you said, right now there won't be any kenneling overnight, just animals that need to stay for certain observation purposes.
and they will be housed strictly in the hospital.
Okay.
So there will be nothing outside the clinic overnight at all.
Right. And then the final question, either of you can answer. So the signage is in the public right of way and is technically within the site triangle. It's already, according to the citizens that reached out to me, almost caused 2 accidents because when you stop at that stop sign, because that sign is in the public right of way and in the site triangle, they can't see the oncoming traffic. So I know that previously, people who have put signs in the public right of way have had to move those signs back to the other side of the sidewalk. And I wanted to bring that up because that's a real concern to several of the people that live in that area.
Okay. I mean, and I can absolutely move
Okay.
it. It hasn't changed. All I did was put my
I
stuff up there. So I can,
Yes, ma'am. I can.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
we can
Thank
work
you.
to fix that.
Awesome. That'll make several of the people on
course.
Main Street very happy.
Absolutely.
We'll have Thomas work with her.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Awesome. I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Yes, sir.
To approve?
All right, Josh, go ahead.
Oh, yep, I was just making a motion to change from C2 to C3 and conditional use permit to allow small animal hospital.
I'll second.
Tim Van Hookey,
Yes.
Josh Jones.
Yes.
Matthew Wells,
Yes.
Shane Walker,
Yes.
Katie Harrington.
Next, consideration of the change in zoning from C2 commercial to C3 commercial for property 2204 South Main, Go Car Wash. Approval of the lot split.
So this is the property that sits between Seacan, on the north side of Seacan and the south side of the dollar store. There's I'll just say it's a 7-acre lot that's, so far as I know, has been vacant for approximately 20 plus years, maybe 25 years. The folks at Go Car Wash are looking to purchase about 1.5 acres of that 7-acre property. So that's what the lot split is for. And then in order to meet our zoning regulation standards, there's a request also to change the zoning of that property from C2 to C3. I know you're probably going to have some questions on this one. We do have our engineer, Jason Dickman, is here. We've had Jason involved from the very beginning. Jason has looked at all the plans, the blueprints, and the mock-ups, and he's given it a good look over. I also have Fred Merrill here, who represents the Go Car Wash company through the company that he works for. I guess you'd say Fred works for a third party, but he's here on behalf of Go Car Wash. So I will defer questions about the project to Jason and to Fred.
Jason, any concerns or anything?
No, based on our reviews, we have no issues with the development.
Now, I know that when CCAN was looking at purchasing that property to expand their facilities, that the codes department was enforcing some kind of earthquake study, and that's why CCAN did not purchase or build or expand their facility. Is that still in effect for these people the same way that it was for CCAN?
I'm going to allow Jason that. He says no.
No.
They meet all the codes. Codes will be met.
Yeah, and I guess one thing I would throw out for you to consider is that we are still have only adopted up to 2012 code standard. These folks and their engineer are building to the most current standards.
Do you own the property there that you're wanting to put the car wash on, or leasing it from somebody?
Go Car Wash will be purchasing the property.
Okay, just curious, because I know that's kind of a deep, irregular lot, and I'm trying to picture how big of a footprint a car wash is. And I think that area that's left back behind, if it's not utilized, could be kind of landlocked. And
No, there is actually a shared access
a shared access
between the Dollar Tree and the Go Car Wash. I'm Fred Merrill, by the way.
Oh, there you go. So shared access is right here. The Dollar Tree. Yes. Which is this considered the shared access? The pay station gate? Or are we calling this the shared access?
This is shared access.
Okay, so that's what will allow access to those back two lots?
Out of the 7 acres, do you know about how much of that your car wash will actually occupy?
It's about 1.2 acres.
1.2, and so that leaves about 5.8,
Give or take.
behind it still. But as long as there's access for if somebody else wants to do something, I guess. That's my only concern is I think it's a great idea, but I'm just trying to think about the footprint and what about the property that's back behind.
Sure.
Okay.
So this group has been extremely thoughtful, very diligent. They've, from day one have wanted to do everything by the book, cross the T's, dot the I's. And so they've been a very, very good group to work with. And we've been talking now for, 7 months now, Fred? So again, this was presented at the last planning board meeting and received a unanimous yes vote by the planning board. And we would ask you to follow suit.
I would make a motion to approve at the planning board's recommendations. What was the number on that? On the resolution.
It's an ordinance.
The ordinance, yep. 3614, to put in the Go Car Wash facility.
I think it's 3615 and 16. One's for the change in
That's right.
zoning, the other one's
Yep.
for the lot split.
36, 15, and 16. Please add that.
I'll second that.
Josh Jones,
Yes.
Tim Van Hookey,
Yes.
Shane Walker,
Yes.
Matthew Wells.
Yes.
Katie Harrington.
Yes.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Next is the consideration of change in zoning from C2 commercial to C3 commercial for the property at 10th and Clark Street.
Yeah, I have a question on this, Bill, before you get started. It says 10th and Clark Street. Geographically on Clark Street, between Five Corners and the curve down by the railroad tracks, where specifically is this going? Because it sounds to me, I mean, is it going in that gravel lot that's on the southeast side that's there now?
South of that warehouse.
South of the warehouse, because that's not 10th, that's more like 12th. And if so, I mean, it's just a clerical thing, but we probably need to clarify it, because 10th is right there by Ruddicks.
Right. It does seem more commonly known. We just.
But the location, Ray, is down by 12th Street, right? Yeah. Yeah. Where the U-Hauls are right now.
It's the south side of the bank.
Okay.
Correct.
Because I was trying to visualize when it said otherwise known as 10th and Clark, I'm like, okay, there's Ruddicks and there's the old tire shop, and where's it in relation to that?
My only question would be the 12th Street right-of-way, is that still in effect with where the property is going to be placed?
My assumption would be yes.
Okay. Well, I'm going to motion that we accept ordinance number 3618 and 3617. Is that correct?
There's just one on this
Sorry.
one.
No,
3617.
Sorry, 3618 for the changing of the zoning on that property.
Is that right? Is that
I
the right
think that's
ordinance?
supposed to be
That's
3617.
17. Yep.
All right.
Yeah. I'll second that.
Josh Jones.
Yes.
Matthew Wells,
Yes.
Shane Walker,
Yes.
Tim Van Hookey,
Yes.
Katie Harrington.
Yes.
Thank you.
Right. Madam Mayor, Commissioners, thank you. We'll see you in a couple
Thank you.
weeks.
Thanks.
Next is the ordinance filling a vacancy in the office of City Commissioner, ordinance number, it is 3618.
3618.
Kelly?
And Madam Mayor, what this is for consistency, as we have vacancies from time to time in the commission, as well as for the replacement of the mayor. A couple of things that we did want to point out. One is that the newly appointed person will be placed in the seat with the least amount of term, pushing the others forward. So that way, those that are elected by the community get the blessing of continuing that belief in their election, where appointments are not just fill-ins of the vacancy, but they will actually go to the term with the least amount of time. The other thing that we had was to have solicit letters of interest, so we can also have consistency. That's portion B there, so that we can have a consistent process and procedure every time, so the community understands that we're following that.
So this is the first time we'd seen this. Was that something that was talked about before I came on, or is this something new?
It was something that several meetings ago, if you look back, I'm sure Diane can provide the notes, I had asked Bob to draw up a new ordinance based on the recommendations of the Attorney General and the League of Municipalities and the concern of many citizens as far as the language of the ordinance that we had on, and the fact that once those certain rules had been overturned at the state level, it put it back on the city for us to maintain the ordinance on how things would change
So
as far as.
the state actually overturned our ordinance?
No.
No. What it is the state says, it refers back to, depending on the classification of city that you are, that it says that this former state statute was repealed and that you should rely on your local ordinances. Now, in earlier discussions with Bob, we can look at this two ways. We can pretty much within legal bounds do what we choose.
Correct.
Or we can establish a stricter set of guidelines for how we move forward. So, and for instance, in paragraph B here, it says, may elect to seek letters of interest from individuals in the territorial limits or any other tools they determine. That leaves it, we don't have to do letters if we don't want to do letters. We can do however we want. I've looked at this several times since Friday, and a couple of things here that you know, I kind of like the ability myself, just my personal opinion, that I'm kind of the mindset that if somebody steps down, whoever replaces them replaces that person in that person's term. I'm not a big fan of shuffleboarding people up to the next level myself. That's just my thoughts on it. And I was, you know, hoping we could have had a little more discussion before this thing came out, because I mean, I applaud you guys for your efforts, but I didn't know it was being rewritten.
Just as a point of information, you can obviously table this to have time to discuss it, because obviously none of this was run by anybody other than Kelly and I. And I think we copied you in on some stuff. But I mean, there's nothing sacred about this.
What would be the benefit of doing that shuffle position thing?
So that was something that the citizens brought forward. They have a serious concern that when the commission appoints people to terms, then that violates the voting of the citizens. And so we're not abiding by the will of the citizens on who they've elected to the positions. Instead, we're placing people in those positions. And there are citizens who feel like that their votes are being overridden.
I will say even moving the 2 year up to the 4 year still does the same thing. I would suggest whoever's put on there just has to run until the next election, not filling the term. So you might have 4 people running at the next election. That way, I mean, that would be my suggestion. And that way, if you really want to go with the will of the people in the vote, instead of putting someone in for 3 or 4 years, filling in just the next election, instead of shuffleboarding around.
And I can see it both ways. I mean, keep in mind too that the folks that elected us trust us to make the decision on behalf of who we're going to bring on board as well. You could look at it either ways. You could say that guy didn't even run and he's got what's left of a 2 or 3 year term, or you could say, you know what, I trust the commission to choose the person they think they're best, and let them assume that term. To be honest with you, you don't know, there might be a commissioner that's going to get shuffled up that says, oh man, I only had 2 years, I don't want another 2. So you know, so I'd like to, I'll make a motion to table it as well, to review it if we want to, you know, discuss it prior to the next meeting, and then make it a votable item for the next meeting.
And this might take a couple meetings, honestly.
I
If
think
we
it
all
will,
come back.
because
Yeah, if we come back with changes.
There are a couple of citizens who would really like us to include language that the next highest vote getter be the one that we put on the commission, as opposed to the commission appointing people. And they are very vocal about that as well.
Well, and I respect that, but again, I think that there's an advantage to that, and there's also absolutely benefits to doing it the other way as well. Because bottom line, whoever would replace somebody is going to need a vote of the majority of the commission.
Right.
Yeah.
I'll second that.
Who said that? Shane?
Speak in your mic, Shane.
Josh Jones?
Yes.
Matthew Wells?
Yes.
Shane Walker?
Yes.
Tim Van Hooky?
Yes.
Katie Arrington?
Yes.
Thank you, Bob and Kelly, for working on it.
Yeah. No problem. Well, thank you, Matthew, as well.
Yeah. It's a work in progress.
Yeah, absolutely. We want to make sure that.
Yeah. Get it like you feel is best.
We don't just pass.
Next is consideration of the resolution number 32-3 2022. Vision and Tourism Resolution in accordance with the chapter ordinance number 34.
Madam Mayor, this is the ordinance that will empower by chapter 30, charter ordinance, charter ordinance number 34 is the appointing of the oversight of what would be tourism as described or prescribed by the state that we have a charter ordinance that lays this out. So in lieu of the Kansas state legislation, KSA, but nonetheless, anyway, this gives us the language and with the agreement ready, and it kind of outlines what Rob has been able to help us understand that Ready is prepared to do through the MOU, and it also has a language down there. If any time either party wants to sever that, all they have to do is give a 30-day written notice.
I will motion that we pass resolution number 32-2022.
Second.
Matthew Wells,
Yes.
Shane Walker,
Yes.
Tim Van Hooky,
Yes.
Josh Jones,
Yes.
Katie Harrington.
I have to abstain from this one.
Correct.
Next is the approval of the budget hearing date and revenue neutral hearing date, August 23rd, 2022 at 5 p.m.
Where are we moving that? To
Yeah.
like September 6th?
Our discussion on that is that we look at September 6th. This kind of collides with the gathering that Rob's talking about for visionary work for Bourbon County Ready. Plus, we may have folks that want to share. We're looking at September 6th is a normal meeting. We can open the meeting with the hearing, but I would suggest that in the vote or as a motion that we do the revenue neutral hearing in conjunction with the budget hearing, so that we can do them both the same night.
What day is that budget hearing?
Same.
The same.
Yeah, they'll both be on September 26th. Now, according to our September 6th, I don't know where the two came from. I'm sorry. September 6th. We have until, according to the county clerk and the clerk schedule, we have until the end of September to do that. We don't want to push the deadline, but we do want to get it done in time and allow people, if there's any discussion at that point. So the 6th would actually give us time to do our 2 more budget workshops and finalize on August the 16th. That we'll probably look, and I'll have that in the packet next time for the passing of the budget, so we can actually publish that hearing notice. So that gives us proper time for publication and the hearing, September 6th. And time for a couple more workshops.
I will have to call in from overseas for that September 6th meeting.
I'll have to call in as well. But no big deal.
Yeah, what we'll do on the 6th, we're going to cover the worksheets. I'll get those out as soon as Susan and I get those up with the new numbers so you can see the breakdown on those.
Do we have to do a Tuesday?
No, we could set a different day if you like.
I'm gone until the 10th of September.
Oh, Josh, what about you?
Just Tuesdays are bad for me. The Wednesday would be fine. So
Okay.
Are you
I know
okay
you'll
with
still be. Can we push it off to after the 10th, or is that too late?
Let's see.
I just prefer everybody to be here.
Yeah.
I'll be out of the country.
Yeah, I know. I just prefer everybody to be here to be able to express their concerns.
So like it's September 14th. Too late.
See, we have. What do you mean? Well, our next budget workshop is August 9th. And then we have the 16th, which is our meeting, and then the 6th will be our, the other, that doesn't really, we have to pass the budget on the 16th to get it in the paper for the 6th.
Would the 13th work for you, Josh?
The city commission meeting also that night.
Can we do that like 15 minutes before?
Be probably an hour-long meeting at least.
Well, I mean, we'll have a budget work. We could have a budget work. I mean, we're planning like if we can finish it up on the 16th, but that doesn't give you time to alter any changes in the budget if you need to for the 16th.
I mean, we're pretty close on the budget, aren't we?
Yeah, I know. Really, if you can look over the worksheets, that explains what Susan and I have done. I want you to also understand, I think our budget is pretty well locked down on just the expenses we have to have. And then a lot of that, the CIPs, we're going to have workshops after that. So just know we're really, really close. So it's not like it's a shot in the dark, but we're just covering expenses we have to have. They'll show you in those worksheets. But so when we do publish a budget, we're going to start working on our CIP program for the next 5 years. And monies and allocations, projects, and breakdown of that. We'll have water come in, sewer come in, and so you understand what our next steps are.
And then for the Monday, the 9th, or the 9th of August meeting, you said you think you can have that to us by Friday?
I'm going to try to. I'll see where Susan's at with that and how much I kind of let her put the personnel in because she had those personnel numbers.
Okay, because I won't be here in person on the 9th
okay.
as well, and I'd like to
Okay.
be able to review them ahead of
Okay.
time.
So if she can get those, as soon as I get them, I'll get them out to everybody so you have plenty of time. So do you want to skip the 9th, or what would you prefer to do, Madam Mayor?
Of August, are we talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
this is August.
I'll be able to zoom in or Teams in or whatever needs to be done. I just need the
August
documents
9th.
in front of me, yeah.
Can we?
Do you want to have Tim zoom in on Wednesday night? Or do you want to set it?
I can't do Wednesday night.
Oh,
That Wednesday night's not.
we could move the time back if it would help Josh. Was it
On what day?
Wednesday the 9th? Or Tuesday the 9th of August.
Oh, that's fine. Yeah.
You want to do it at 6 then?
Yeah, Tuesday, and then August,
It's
yeah.
Oh,
September.
I think
It's
it's
September.
just the September.
September 6th is the one I have.
Oh,
That's new, yeah.
And mine's just on Tuesdays. I mean, it's not a big deal. That's high school sports, a lot of it in
So
my son's senior year.
You had eligibility left?
I
See,
do.
then
The 6th is a regular meeting night.
I'm gonna go to those games.
Yeah.
It's not a special night, it's a regular meeting night. And it'll be
And which,
held
like I
at
said, I
6.
can still zoom in. It's not a big deal. So,
Okay, well, it's a regular.
yeah.
Okay.
but if we want to include Tim, would the 12th or the 14th work better? If we wanted to move it to one of those
Which
days?
day? September?
September, yes.
Yeah, I'm supposed to be back. Well, I fly back in on the 10th,
Come.
so and that's like a Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll be back that next week.
Okay.
Can we move it to the 12th?
Yeah, yeah.
And then the next night's
Well,
the
I'm
city commission.
sorry, I'm actually, I won't be in the office on that day.
So what about the
What
14th?
about the 11th? 14th is good.
That's a Sunday.
That's Sunday. 15th, we could do the 15th and then, well, it's then the 15th. That gives a day to roll the numbers.
Say 14th or 15th.
Do you
14th is a
wanna do
Wednesday.
Monday night workshop and then just a Tuesday night meeting?
You said you weren't going to be in the office that day.
No, I know. I'll be here the 15th to 16th.
Of September.
No, this is August.
No, we're talking
No.
about moving the
Oh, okay.
Budget
I'm sorry.
hearing.
Budget
I'm
hearing.
not tracking well.
yes,
Sorry.
the
No.
budget hearing
Okay.
and that
Oh, okay.
final budget meeting that we were going to schedule for the 6th, but 2 people won't be here, so we're trying to make an accommodation.
Okay, we have to have our budget meeting before September 20th. So the 20th is the drop dead.
So that's a Tuesday.
So we could do the 13th or any time between the 6th.
September, anytime after September 12th, I'm good to go.
Oh, okay. Do you want to do like the 13th or 14th?
The 14th would be all right.
Yes.
We can do
Okay.
Wednesday.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wednesday the
Okay.
14th.
Let me. All right. All right. So
And
we'll,
for this, we would just need to make a motion for approval of the budget hearing date on September 14th
And revenue neutral hearing date.
and neutral hearing date on September 14th at 5 p.m. here in the city
you
commission.
can set it at any time you want to, because that is not a meeting night.
Does 5 work for everybody?
Okay.
That's fine.
Okay.
Second.
All right. Very good.
Shane Walker,
Yes.
Tim Van Hookey.
Yes.
Josh Jones.
Yes.
Matthew Wells,
Yes.
Katie Harrington.
Yes. Diane, will you send a calendar invite again? Thank you.
And that's September 14th.
City manager comments.
A couple of things, Madam Mayor. One is I'm working with the school on the first and second resource officers, and through the police department. So we're working on the MOU through the school superintendent's office and the school board. The second thing is got a letter from Bourbon County about cooperative efforts in who works on our equipment for the 911 dispatch, and so that we're both on the same page. It was in your packet, so just wanted to also apprise you of everything that we do, city and county, that so you're all on the same page and understanding that what we're doing. So those two things are we're well agreed in the dispatch equipment and service, as well as we're working on that MOU for the school. That's all I have.
Yeah, I will say just on the SRO, I know Destry's been really good to work with, so we appreciate that, Destry, and haven't welcomed you here yet. I'm glad you're here and see good things.
Thank you guys too. We're going Monday night at our board meeting. We're going to go ahead and just vote to move forward. That doesn't mean that we are trying to circumvent what your process is, but just trying to get us in a position where we're ready whenever you are.
Appreciate it.
Do you have any other comments before we go to commissioner?
I think Jason was up before us, wasn't he?
Engineering firm. Sorry, Jason.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, Commissioners. I just wanted to give updates on items. The CDBG sewer project is ongoing, survey and plan production. Horton Street, the KDOT cost share project is starting with survey scheduled next week. 17th and Eddy, as you know, is under construction. They've done their first pay request, so that work's moving forward. The KDOT access road, we did get the permit approved to do that work, so now we need to set it up to bid out. So I'll work with Kelly on getting dates and all that stuff. The other one, the South Industrial Park water line, I think it's kind of, we held up on that a little bit. Last time we were at preliminary design stage, so I want to finish that and get plans out to utility companies to review conflicts, which will be the same kind of plan moving forward with any of these larger projects. We want to coordinate with utilities a little earlier so that we don't run into issues that could be mitigated. Some can't, but there was one, I don't know if you guys dealt with the water guys. Bill Lemke had to go out and adjust a water line that was just located wrong for that 17th and Eddy project. So that's all complete and they move forward. So I commend the city staff for moving on that quickly. Otherwise, the contractor would have been delayed a little bit probably. So pending any questions, that's what I have. I can, yeah. So one of the items, kind of a big item we're looking at is the state revolving loan fund program. I think a lot of your big projects you've funded that way, where you get loans through KDHE and the state, really low interest. And the way that process works is you got to show a plan. And basically, we've started this a few months back. We've got a decent report on a wastewater treatment plant evaluation. So there were 5 major items that we were looking at, and over time, you know, in conjunction with the ADM waste and stuff going into that first lagoon cell, and the latest was the KDHE inspection with their recommendations. Michael Mix actually already submitted his first report to the state on that. So all of that kind of rolls in together, and what we want to do is capture all of those project needs and get them in that SRF planning process. So the first step is where we're at. So there's a single page form, but the trick is you got to delineate the projects, kind of show them what it is, and because of the KDH report, we can show an urgent need on a couple of them at least. And then they also want some estimates of timeframes and costs. So there's a lot of stuff I need to make sure we're putting together, because some of our estimates were already a year old. So we're going back through and making sure those are updated. And we want to be as close as we can be on the need of cost, so that can be part of the budget process moving forward.
There are 2 reasons for the SRF. One is project forgiveness, which is very nice. The second is we come under KDHE's covering because we got bipped in a couple of places, the Davis Lift Station and then the lagoon, for number 1 lagoon for the ADM water. And we've kind of got Jason and I have been working on a plan that some of the elements of this project can really help us on both of those. So we can not only get these projects done, but it could be a real positive for the 2 things that we got bipped on. And they've been long-term issues for the city too.
Jason, I had 2 questions. One was where we were on the steps, whether or not we got that information from the contractor in Pittsburgh.
I found the plans.
Okay.
So I can get those
Awesome.
to that contractor.
And then the other question was about the bathhouse at the lake. Tim Hawkins had reached out that he also has some plans from a different facility. If you were not able to get those plans that Pete had talked about, that he would be willing to bring forth those plans.
Yeah, I've been working with Doug Guns a little bit on that. So we sent him a layout that we had, maybe a couple different ones. So, you know, it just brings different questions, I think. If you're doing an entirely new structure like that, you know, we want to be able to assist where we can with estimates and all that, but, you know, where do we want it to be? So we still need to tie that down more specifically. That way you can estimate how much, you know, to serve the water and how much.
What would we need to do to determine that location?
Just decide.
Just decide, us
I think
as
so.
the city commission.
I think probably work with the lake people, and kind of, you know, look at that plan, the layout, and I'll bring it back to Taj Mahal. So that whole layout, there's space in there still available. So look at that and say, okay, this makes sense. Because we understand that you wanted it to be moved a little bit more centralized. So, I mean, we could give you the first idea of that, and you can say, yeah, that's fine, or no. But then, so from there, we can say, okay, now we want a grinder pump and a little force main going out to the other force main, or consider tying that in. I know we talked about an RV sewer dump station. So do you do that here as well, or are you waiting for that? So kind of just coordinating how you want this all to tie together.
If you would be kind enough to make your recommendations on what you feel, and with the blessing of the commission, I'll reach out to the lake board at our next meeting to get their feelings on it. And then if we can make a decision on the location, so we can find out how much it's going to cost.
Okay.
Moving forward.
I have all those numbers from Frank
Yeah, Frank Halsey did
Halsey
some.
was the only one that would give us an idea on an 8-inch block building. I just hadn't got it on a spreadsheet to break out the RV hookup and the dump station, but you're looking at well over $250,000 for it. Plus, you're going to have to hire another staff member that we don't have budget for in the water department or sewer department to take care of the grinders. Just so you know.
National Street.
Oh, I did talk to Kelly about that. You're talking about South National repaving that last 200 feet. At this point, my recommendation is to cancel that contract and not pay them the rest, and they're not going to come back. And looking at it, I've looked at it a few times. You know, it lasted one winter so far, and it's held up reasonably well. It doesn't look to be in distress, so it's actually performing better than the overlay closer to the highway, to be honest. But there may have been some base issues down there. So my recommendation, and if Kelly concurs, would be just terminate that contract. I know you owed them. We paid, I think the agreement was we paid them 80% or maybe 50%. I can't remember. But they were paid a certain amount. So they would just need to be given notice that it's been terminated. And then you'll have to probably deal with, depending on what they were paid, coming up, negotiating probably something maybe, but I don't know. Because I know they were busy. I think they got overbooked. And I told Kelly I would, you know, the cliche, throw them under the bus. They were outside my office doing paving this week.
So you're thinking if we cancel it, they're still going to want more?
Depending on what you paid. I know there was contention about how much to pay.
I would suggest if you think they're going to ask to pay more, then we not cancel and just let it ride.
And Jason proposed that, but I haven't really had a chance to examine it. I want to examine it further before I agree to that, because I want to make sure I'm looking to see if there's failure.
What's the benefit of canceling it and just letting it ride?
Well,
Well,
if you
depends,
cancel,
yeah.
you've encapsulated what your issue is. If you let it ride, it's open-ended. That's the only reason.
You've kind of settled the deal.
Yeah.
By canceling it, which is, that's why I recommend it. But I did, until tonight, I didn't really think about what did you pay him before. I just see that as a possible issue on their end, but it's been a year. So, I don't know. But yeah, we can look at that all closer with Kelly and get a final recommendation. Any other questions?
And I'll bring that breakdown next meeting for the restrooms out there at the lake so you can see that. I just wanted to get all those figures so you can see them on hard copy.
Thank you, Jason.
Thank you.
Commissioners' reports and comments. Matthew Wells.
Well, first off, I would like to just say I believe that yesterday evening, our city crews, our fire department, so many people really just stepped up above and beyond in so many different areas to get accomplished what was going on. I'd like to publicly thank Kelly and his what he's done with training and with teams, and the excellent job that he's done building this team environment amongst our employees to be able to get that accomplished and rectify it as quickly as they did. I want to reach out and publicly thank all of the citizens out there who were opening up their homes to their neighbors, who were reaching out and helping people. I know many people who went to stay with friends down the street or other people around in the area. There were just so many people in this town that reached out as a community, and it's things like that that make me proud to live here in Fort Scott, to be able to call this place home, and just to know that this community really cares about each other, and it shows that in a time of crisis, everyone, I can't begin to list all of the people
that I've heard of and the things that they did, before I probably leave multiple people out. So I'm just going to say thank you to everyone who stepped up yesterday to help get that issue resolved and to help people all throughout the evening. So that's my first thing. The second thing that I wanted to mention was we're working with HBACT on the pavilion area. There have been some concerns brought forth by the National Parks Service as far as the location that is currently being presented. One, it's going to mess with the view shed of the fort. They're already having issues on Saturday morning with parking for the people who are trying to go to the fort. They're not being able to find parking places, and that's awesome for the farmers market. That means that thing's growing. But in that same vein, I think we should consider that we want this farmers market to get bigger and bigger as far as I'm concerned. So we need to consider a location that is going to be beneficial for expansion and allow ample parking and all of those issues as well.
Does someone get placed on that committee with that?
Well, I think that I mean, Rob was on there and was supposed to be coordinating with HBACT, especially since we were looking at including the T-Mobile money in that.
And we had a ready meeting last night, and that was brought up, and Rob's been invited to both meetings.
Okay, because last
I was invited to the first meeting, well, as an HBCAT member, but I didn't make the second meeting.
And there's no way, I want to make sure this no way reflects on anybody who's doing all the hard work to make sure this project gets done. I just wanted to make the commission aware of the national park and the partnership that we have with them, being Fort Scott, what they bring to the city. I just really want us to make sure we take them into consideration in all things.
Have they got a design yet? I mean, they're laying it out, but what are they putting up?
They are working, from my understanding, and Josh could correct me if I'm wrong, HBACT has reached out to the USDA as far as design and.
Because we were looking at a pavilion before.
Yes, sir. Yeah, and we're still looking at that.
The grant was, you know, this was even before HBCAT took over. When Allie and them were here saying the grant would not even cover the design and engineering.
Right.
So I believe HBCAT is looking to tie it together with another grant.
Right.
To do it.
And they're looking, from my understanding, USDA has a grant available to help with the design portion of it and to help get the layout done. So
Is T-Mobile on board with this also?
I know. Yeah.
Okay, to make sure that they're okay with.
My question is,
accepting
yes, and
that
they have
money
been coordinating with T-Mobile. So that's a good question because T-Mobile is actively involved now in that. And so it's really cool and they would like to be a part of that PR.
Is the farmer's market, do we have an agreement with them at that location? Do you know, Diane? Or are we just kind of
It's just a
handshake?
verbal agreement.
Verbal.
I think it just kind of grew there.
Yeah.
Because my understanding, it was at two different locations before it moved there.
It used to be very,
So this is its third location.
I think it used to be across from the Presbyterian Church, if I remember right.
Okay.
But it's just been more successful there, and I think they've
Yes, sir.
decided to stay.
Yes, sir. Yes. Yeah, and I don't want to do anything to stop the success of it. I really want us to take the Ford into consideration with the decisions that we make in our partnership with them and all that they do for the city. So.
Tim Van Hookie? Thank you, Matthew.
Oh, were you done, Matthew?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. I just want to echo real quickly Matthew's comments about our first responders, the Evergy teams, the public works people, the recreation parks people. You know, it just does your heart good to see that type of energy and professionalism go in there. And fantastic job, guys, and it's greatly appreciated. A lot of positive feedback. The only other thing I had, and I don't want to make this a negative, I just want to kind of inform the public a little bit. Trust me, I regret personally that we didn't have our meeting on Tuesday night. I know people drove in and had presentations to do, and it was very inconvenient for them. By the same token, though, I think that every city commissioner sitting here, as well as previous ones going back to wherever, they want to make sure they're doing the best job for the citizens. And someone had thought that because they'd actually put together an ordinance at one time. You can look it up if you're at home. It's in section 2.56.20 Under meeting agendas, city commission meeting agendas will be open and publicized. Because the agenda is used to advise the public, staff, and commission of the items that will be discussed and acted upon at the meeting, the agenda must go out on time, usually the Wednesday before a regular meeting. Now, we're not wanting it Wednesday before the regular meeting. Friday's good. And I understand that things are going to happen. And if things happen, then potentially, you know, we may have to do what we did earlier. But hopefully those decisions are made in the public trust of wanting to make sure that everybody that's sitting here making these decisions and casting votes on the behalf of the city, you know, is as well informed as possible. Again, not saying anything negative about our city employees or staff. I know things have been crazy and busy around here, but I know there were some folks upset that the meeting, and rightfully so, that the meeting didn't go forward. And I regret that, and I'm sure we all do. But there is some logic and reasoning behind that. And again, this is not a blame game, but I just wanted to pass that on. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Tim. Josh Jones.
Yeah, but I'll just kind of hit on that since you brought it up. That was the code of procedure. In the code of ethics we adopted says the agenda is required to be supplied to the commissioners and staff in advance of the meeting and to the members of the public that attend. The clerk may fix deadlines from time to time for receipt of items for the agenda, so it may be timely compiled and distributed. So I just want to add that in the code of ethics. And then real quick, I thought it was kind of the Evergy situation, reiterate what they said. Everyone came together, it was awesome. I mean, that's the best thing about Fort Scott. And it was pointed out in Kelly's interview, that was kind of a question in the interview. It was more of a
mobilize
yeah. And
command
so,
center.
you know, thinking back after it's over, it was, you know, ironic that was asked. And I think it played out about exactly how you answered it in the interview. So good job to you and the staff and Evergy and everything. So that's all I got.
Yeah, thanks, Kelly, for keeping us all informed about that last night.
Well, thank you guys for your help. I mean, you guys are great volunteers too. I know Katie was tied down, but you were doing your well, and you were looking after folks. I mean, everybody was looking after folks.
I had to stay.
It's
where-
impressive.
And then I wanted to say thanks to Stephen Toll for what he's doing with these murals. And if you haven't seen the one over by the park, it's really, really neat. Just anything we got that he can paint, we ought to let him paint.
If you don't mind, Shane, piggybacking on that, he had make a request that he wants to finish that mural underneath the overpass, but there is a spot where the concrete is leaking.
Yeah.
Yes, and if we can get that fixed, he would love to finish that mural.
Yeah.
So if we could have somebody take a look at that at some point. It's not a pressing issue by any means, but he has an idea on what he wants to finish doing there. So.
I'm going to comment. Thank you, dispatch. The county done an awesome job on making sure to redirect calls and kind of keep people informed. Altogether, I think it was a good team effort, city, county, to work together to make sure that this is went off. Obviously, like get the power back on. I'm fortunate enough I could not be at the command center. I had to mandate my facility per Kansas statutes, so I could not leave. But I do appreciate all the updates, so that way I can update my families that I was fortunate to work with. So I really appreciate everything that was done, and first responders, everything. I appreciate it. That being said,
I want to make a motion to have an executive session for a few minutes. Move that we recess into executive session for the purpose of possible litigation pursuant to the attorney-client privilege exception of KSA 754319B, Section 2. The open meeting will resume in 5 minutes.
And who's gonna be in the meeting?
Bob and the 5 commissioners and Kelly.
Oh, second.
Josh Jones?
Yes.
Tim Van Hickey?
Yes.
Shane Walker?
Yes.
Matthew Wells?
Yes.
Katie Harrington?
yes.
permit stand still too long.
can't remember his name, I wasn't here.
Tim Van Hookey,
Yes.
Shane Walker,
Yes.
Matthew Wells.
Yes.
Josh Jones.
Yes.
Katie Heron.
Yes.
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
Josh Jones.
Yes.
Tim Van Hookey.
Yes.
Shane Walker.
Yes.
Matthew Wells.
Yes.
Katie Heron.
Yes.